Welcome back to the Through the Lane podcast. We've got background noise with Lee mowing. Talon's not here this week. It's just me. Talon's going to be back Sunday. I guarantee it. We're going to break down the winners and losers of this in kind of a bigger view. But today we're just going to do instant reactions to things. I've got some hot takes in the NBA. Probably not hot takes, but you know. And then this weird NFL moves that are being made. So we're going to start off with the NFL because it's less, right? And the Dolphins traded Jalen Ramsey. They were looking at trading him. And they traded him to the Steelers, which at first makes sense, right? Put Jalen Ramsey across from Joey Porter. Great, right? What did they give up? Well, they gave up Minkah Fitzpatrick, who is still in his prime. I think Jalen Ramsey's on the back end of his career. So that's a move you make if you're a Super Bowl contender. But you're not. Offensively, you still lack weapons. Yes, for whatever reason, they brought in Johnny Smith, right? And they had the tight end position fixed. Unless you're going to run 2 tight end sets, which means you're going to run the ball more. Which just further shows that Arthur Smith is still behind the 8 ball on offensive play schemes, right? I said this when he was in Atlanta. So you're going to run a 2 tight end set with DK Metcalf and who else? I mean, who else is going to be that other receiver? Let me look it up right now. Because it's not Calvin Austin. That brother's a slot only. And I forget who is, because they traded. It would have made sense if you kept George Pickens, right? You can put him on the outside. You got 2 big body receivers. You just terrorize people, right? Just harass people all game long, right? You can run 2 tight end set. You can put, who is it you have at running back? Jalen Warren and Caleb Johnson. They drafted Caleb Johnson so they can run it down your throat, right? Kenneth Gainwell, Trey Sermon. I mean, this is a good running back group. I mean, 4 really good running backs that I'm high on, right? And a really underrated offensive line. Look, Mason McCormick is a really good right guard. Zach Frazier had a great season last year. Troy Fautanu. I mean, the whole right side of the offensive line is coming in their second year, right? So they're only getting better, and they had a great season last year. Broderick Jones is a very talented left tackle, and Isaac Samalu is great, but they have depth too. So then you look at the receiver. They have Robert Woods, okay? Robert Woods is the other guy. They have Roman Wilson, which maybe Roman Wilson takes that step and becomes the number 2, and they can kind of put him on the outside. But Robert Woods, I mean, he was like receiver 4 last year. Maybe 5. So that offense does not scare me. You have a very old Aaron Rodgers. You're going to put him in play action all the time, probably, which again shows that this offense is archaic. Since Ben Roethlisberger has left, it's been archaic. With Matt Canada, it was just bad. And then Arthur Smith is playing an archaic thing. People don't understand what hindered the Tennessee Titans when he was there. They lived and died by the run. So if you filled the box up, they couldn't do anything. And yes, they had Ryan Tannehill, but they had A.J. Brown. They had all those guys, and they still couldn't get it. Arthur Smith is not a good OC. I'm not big on him. Maybe he's a good position coordinator, but as an OC on a team, it's just not good. And for the Dolphins, it makes no sense, right? So you bring in Minkah Fitzpatrick. Yes, you need safety help, okay? But he's still in the prime. This is an old defense. You probably should have got more. I don't know why you swap picks. And then you give up Johnny Smith on an offense that is lacking weapons, lacking oomph, firepower, everything. Right? Because when they get into the cold weather, they struggle. And you went from you probably just needed another outside receiver to put outside of Jalen Waddle. And then you had Tyreek Hill in the slot, Johnny Smith at the tight end position. It looked good. You're surrounding 2 with weapons, and you take one away. And then this morning, because this is being recorded on a Tuesday, you bring in a retired Darren Waller to replace him. A guy who last time we saw him did not look good, has not really looked good since he left the Raiders, and has been retired for a year or 2. I mean, it makes that is a hope and a prayer. And I will bet anything. Johnny Smith as a whole is better than Darren Waller ever has been. I mean, Darren Waller, low-key, has been an overrated tight end in this league. we've seen multiple years now in multiple systems. Jonnu Smith doing good. He had a great year in one of his last years in Tennessee. He goes to the Steelers, which I never will understand that move. I understand from the Steelers or the Patriots moves. He didn't go to the Steelers. He is now, but he went to the Patriots. I understand why he went to the Patriots. The money, and I mean, he was given full go, right? But that was a bad offense, right? Being ran by a defense coordinator as the offense. And it's just, he showed multiple times. He was born in 1992. How old is he? Is he going to tell me his age? He's like 34. And I don't want to missay it. He's 32, but he has not played in 2 years. Okay? So, what I just don't understand it. He didn't look good in his last year there. Does Miami have Hunter Renfrow? Because, I mean, they've got to have more weapons, right? There's no way they do this deal. It's just I don't understand it for the Dolphins, right? Jonnu Smith looking like a dog, right? And you just trade him away and get Darren Waller with a hope and a prayer. Yeah, their outside receiver, it's probably going to be Nick Ikine Westbrook, which he's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that brother's a big body in the red zone. But again, like, and not talking about, had a weird draft. Drafting Kenneth Grant made no sense. I mean, yes, he's a big tackle, but you need pass rushing. You need secondary help. I mean, holy cow, looking at this right now, it's Kendall Sheffield's going to be, I mean, Storm Duck is going to be one of their starting corners. And Cam Smith. I mean, Artie Burns. The secondary's in shambles there. You could have got a corner. I mean, it just makes no sense for the Dolphins. The Dolphins are a poverty franchise. It's a terrible. The more I sit on this, the more I look at it, I'm like, man, this is bad. I mean, this is just bad. Pharaoh Brown would have been an all right tight end. You could have made a trade for Michael Mayer. I mean, I would have loved Michael Mayer because you give him all the run in the world. Okay, guy who had a disappointing first year. They draft Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers takes it over. So you're on Michael Myers' third year. And, I mean, it's still, like, Michael Myers not going to get run at the Raiders. Like, let's be honest there. Like, it's not happening. It's just not. Brock Bowers is a top 5 tight end already. You're not going to play Michael Myers that much unless it's a 2 tight end set where he's going to be blocking. So they could have pursued a young guy to pair with the squad, and they didn't. It's such a bad move. I hate it. I hate that Jonnu Smith is with the Steelers. He's going to be so underutilized. So underutilized. It's such a bad move. I kind of understand the swap, right? Jalen Ramsey, you get a corner. You needed a corner. You have Deshaun Elliott, who I think is one of the more underrated safeties in the league. You brought in Juan Thornhill so he can kind of cover it. They also brought in Darius Slay. So, yeah, I actually like that move, okay? Now that I'm looking at it. Bringing in Jalen Ramsey, it secures the spot, right? Because Jalen Ramsey can play the nickel. Joey Porter can line up outside, and you have Darius Slay, who had a great year last year. And then you got Deshaun Elliott and Juan Thornhill, who's nothing to sneeze at. And Deshaun Elliott is a hard-hitting box safety. So I love it. But Jonnu Smith, like, I don't know why you brought in Jonnu Smith. This defense, though, for the Steelers looks good. Derek Harmon in the middle, Cam Hayward, TJ. They've got to do something with TJ Watt. Maybe this was to clear up money for TJ Watt, getting rid of Mika Fitzpatrick. Long-term money because Mika's making a chunk of change. But it makes no sense. And the Darren Waller thing, like, it's a hope and a prayer that Darren Waller pans out. And I don't think he will. But to kind of just back away from that, we're going to go to the NBA draft, right? And a very interesting NBA draft. I've got some hot takes. This NBA draft kind of blew me away, right? So, first overall, Cooper Flag. Love the move. Whatever. Dylan Harper to the Spurs. I would have liked Ace Bailey so you can push Stephon Castle to the 2. Because Dylan Harper, you kind of got a redundancy. Like, Stephon Castle by trade is a point guard. De'Aaron Fox is a point guard. Dylan Harper, a point guard. So I guess you're going to make Dylan Harper the 2 guard. And Stephon Castle such an athletic freak. He's 6'7". You put him at the 3. Devin Vassell somewhere's got to sit in this. Maybe he plays the 4. I would love to see what they roll this lineup out because they've got wings. This is a loaded team, right? And I said this when they get the second pick. We're going to watch the Spurs and OKC and probably the Rockets now duke it out for 5 to 10 years. Because Victor Wembanyama is not going away. You've got Stephon Castle, who looks fantastic. And now he doesn't have to take as many shots. You get Dylan Harper, the number 2 pick. Fantastic. De'Aaron Fox, who is a good, really good point. I'm not as bullish. I'm kind of bullish on him. But De'Aaron Fox is a good point guard. And you pair them up, and then you've got to figure out. Harrison Barnes is a good 4. Jarrett Scotchwan. I think Keldon Johnson should honestly be starting, and Jeremy Scotchwan bring up the second unit, kind of lead the second unit. And maybe Dylan Harper ends up leading the second unit to start the season, and you put Devin Vassell in the starting lineup because of his 3-and-D ability. But there's so many roster combinations you can go here. You can roll out, if you want to go super young and athletic, De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, Devin Vassell, Stephon Castle, and Wembanyama. Because you can run super small 1 through 4 because you have Wembanyama in the paint to make it up. And just go young and fast and athletic. I think that's a lineup that could probably compete with OKC's lineup. Because you got scoring, you got ball handling. All 5 guys can handle the ball. All 5 guys can go get a bucket. They're good shooters. I don't know too much about Dylan Harper in college. I know he's a bit of a dog. Let me look up his college stats. I know he played at Rutgers. This is why I don't do anything on the NBA draft, because I don't understand their scouting process, right? I just don't understand their whole scouting system, because a brother can be a bucket in college basketball and him not get drafted. Like, there was the guy averaged like 20 points a game for USC last year and went undrafted. He's not going to show me his averages. Oh, it is. He shot 33% from 3. It's not fantastic, but again, 50 made 3-pointers at 18. He's going to be a bit of a bucket. He probably does fit the 2 role really well. Not much of a true purebred point guard. I think Stephon Castle was more of a purebred point guard than Dylan Harper is. I think Dylan Harper is more built for the 2. Stephon Castle just happens to be 6'7" and fit the 3 because of his athleticism. He can be just linked. He's lanky. He's a lanky 6'7". So I think that was, the original hope was with the Spurs where, I know I'm going on a little rant. They drafted Stephon Castle. He's going to be a little bit of a project with Chris Paul. He's going to teach him how to be the point guard. But Stephon Castle still did, got a lot of assists. At times, I was like, wow, 7 assists. He'd be like 15, 7, 3 rebounds. And you're like, okay, love it. But you saw, the length. He's 6'6", not 6'7". He shot 30% from 3. 28% from 3. It's not fantastic. He averaged 4 assists, 4 rebounds, a steal. Just happened to be an athletic freak. The efficiency's not fantastic, but you look at it and you're like, I can see superstar talent from Stephon Castle, and I love it. I love the move. So much talent, so many weapons, which is what you need to combat OKC. We're going to talk about OKC in a minute because this is the issue with them and so many first-round picks. But I love the move. Love it. That team's going to be scary. I can't wait. I don't know more about me, and we're going to talk about this with Talon. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. But now it's the 76ers, and I love this pick. VJ Edgecombe, right? Because this guy can play off the ball, right, to 76ers. And this is a pick of and he's a hustler. A hustler. I watched him. I did watch him, and he looked fantastic. So you're going to run a backcourt of Tyrese Maxey at point guard, Jared McCain at the 2, and VJ Edgecombe at the 3. That is your young core 2 moving forward, right? 3 very dynamic players. I think VJ Edgecombe probably will end up being as good as Tyrese Maxey, and Jared McCain's going to be a really good shooter. Sniper. But then at the power forward, you run Paul George, and at center, Joel Embiid. This is a great lineup. You can contend now and have a strong nucleus for the future, right? You still have Ricky, you still have Council, you still have some of the guys, Bona, however you say his name, Justin Edwards looks like a great wing. They've got dudes on that 76ers squad. They got hurt and banged up a lot last year, but I love the way it looks. Now to the Hornets. Concanoopel at 4. I love the move. And we're going to talk about it at the end, about this nucleus that they've built. I love their draft. They went out and pretty much have built a young core everywhere, right? And they traded Mark Williams. And we're going to talk about the trades in a minute. Right? We're going to go draft, trades, free agency. Because it builds the picture that I want to build. This episode's probably going to be an hour or so long. Right, as long as this iPad doesn't die. And it may be me cutting and me coming back and plugging my computer up to my iPad so that my iPad does not die, right? But I love the move for the Hornets. We're going to break that down all in a minute. 5 Utah Jazz. Ace Bailey, I never really understood his thing, right? He wasn't player of the year. They didn't go on some insane run. I mean, they didn't even make the tournament. Which, by the way, side thing, we'll talk about that at the end, if I remember. But Ace Bailey probably could end up being the second best player in this draft. He's a freak. The dude's big. Could play from the 2 to the 4. And is just got a big build. Super lanky. I mean, he's got a bag. I love the move for the Jazz in a way of just get probably the second best prospect in this draft. The only issue is he doesn't want to be there. For God knows what reason, because at Utah, he can do whatever in the world he wants to do, and no one scoffed at him because there's no one else. I mean, Keontae George, Filipowski, Walker Kessler's no offensive threat. So, to me, I don't know. I feel a certain way about this, but, you know, it is what it is. The Wizards at 6, Trey Johnson. I like this move, shooter. Just get another guard you can, build with Bob Carrington, and even if Bob Carrington doesn't work out, you traded Jordan Poole. You still have Keyshawn George, Alexander Sarr. I mean, he's got high upside. I mean, brother was great at Texas, about 20. I think it's 19.9 points a game at Texas. It's fantastic, right? And on to the Pelicans now, right? So, in a move, we're going to talk about this first trade. They traded CJ McCollum and something else to the Wizards for Jordan Poole and somebody else. Who was it? It's Jordan Poole and someone else. Excuse me, sorry. No way, they don't have the updated thing. Because I know there's someone else. Yahoo Sports. Yahoo always comes in clutch. And there's a lot of trades that happen. Right? So the Pelicans got Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey. The Wizards got Kelly Olynyk. Okay, I don't hate that for the Wizards. C.J. McCollum can mentor Bob Carrington and Trey Johnson, and Kelly Olynyk can kind of mentor Keyshawn George a little bit. You get a second round pick out of it. The Pelicans get Jordan Poole, a scorer. I mean, he doesn't get hurt often. He's going to get you a bucket. It's either if it's going to be efficiently or just terrible. Like, it's like 5 to 20, and you're just like, ripping your ears out, right? And then Sadiq Bey's a solid wing, just coming off an ACL tear. I don't know if he's the same since. He's missed a while. But they go out and then get Jeremiah Fears, right? And DeJounte Murray, I think, towards Achilles, so he's going to miss some time. Maybe he's ready for camp. So then you've got a bit of a redundancy. Is Jeremiah, and then you also have Jose Alvarado. So you've got a bit of redundancy. All the moves have led them to not bring back B.J. Boston, which I thought was stupid. I love B.J. Boston. I loved how he played on the team. They also have Herb Jones and Jordan Hawkins. So again, you drafted a position at guard where there's a lot of redundancy there. You know? And Jordan Hawkins is more of a, and Herb Jones is more of a wing player, but they played the shooting guard. So again, you can't just stuff somebody at shooting guard because minutes, right? And this is, we're going to talk about this when we get to pick 13. The issue I have with what the Pelicans have done this year, or with this offseason so far, and we'll talk about their free agency move. So they go out and do that, and they draft Jeremiah Fears. He's a great point guard. I mean, not great, but he's got upside. Played at Oklahoma. I mean, it was him and Boogie Flan, and he was better than Boogie Flan. As like the second-tier point guards. American point guards, as my computer's having a stroke right now. Fantastic. But I just don't understand it, right? It makes no sense to me why you draft him. You could have gone and gotten Colin Murray Boyles. Or you could have Cedric Coward. And honestly, they probably should offload more and go younger. The Pelicans are a bit of like, where the Kings have been. And the Kings have made some moves. And we'll talk about that in a minute once we get to the draft and stuff, right? Let's clear out some things on the computer so it doesn't keep striking out on me. And it's supposed to rain at any moment. So if I move, it's because the rain is now blowing onto me. Right? But, so they take Jeremiah Fears to 7. Makes no sense. Right? And I just don't get it. We're going to talk about them more in a minute. Now to the Nets. And holy moly, was this a terrible draft. Right? They have 5 first-round picks. Right? Great. Maybe they move up. Ace Bailey would have been a wonderful pick. Right? Oh my goodness. You trade 5 picks, maybe 2 or 3, to the Jazz, right? Completely rebuilding. They need assets. To get Ace Bailey, a superstar, a talent that you can build around, but that makes too much sense. Right? What do you do? With 5 first-round picks, you draft 4 guards and a power forward. Not a wing where you need help at. A power forward in 4 guards who are pretty much the same players. Can't shoot. Kind of just, they're all European. I think there's one American guard. European. So they can't shoot at all. Can kind of facilitate but need the ball in their hands. And it's just like, what do we do? The first one, Igor Dimon. BYU. So this is the American one. Okay. Solid basketball player. Issue is, can't shoot. Suspected defense. I mean, the talent's there, but not there yet. Needs the ball in his hand. Pure point guard. Okay? Yet Cam Johnson needs ball in his hand. Pure point guard. Noah Conley. Pure point guard. They just traded for him. We'll talk about it in a minute. Michael Porter Jr. No, Conley's a pure power, big. Michael Porter Jr. needs the ball in his hand. Does not pass it. Right? So this roster makes no sense. At all. Like this, oh my gosh. This offseason for some teams has made me angry. Right? So they go Igor Dimon. I don't know much about him. I just know some things, right? BYU. Just so stupid. And then to the Toronto Raptors. Another team with no direction. They go Colin Murray Boyles. Personally, I think they should have gone Maliak. And we'll talk about that in a minute. I don't know why Colin Murray Boyles. I mean, because you have Scotty Barnes. Power forward. Small forward. RJ Barrett. So, shooting guard. Grady Dick. Point guard. Emmanuel Quickly. You don't have a young center. Get Maliak, who I believe is going to be a great center. He's not going to be a guy that's, the leader of the team, right? Like, what I mean is he's an all-star, superstar. He may be an all-star center because of the defensive terrorism he commits to people. But Colmar, like, it's another redundancy of position. Unless you are going to plan on moving RJ Barrett off the team. Which maybe... Oh, and by the way, they have Brandon Ingram. So, again, why do you need another forward? It just makes no sense, okay? And this is... We're getting to the point, right, where I'm just looking at this and I'm like, what are we doing? This is going to be a long episode. Holy. Okay? So we get to the Houston pick. And they trade it to the Suns. That came over from the Suns, I think, in the KD trade. Right? Cool. Right? They can take some talent here. On the board still is De'Aaron Queen, Walter Clayton, Jakelski, Asa Newell, Jace Richardson, Liam McNeely. That's about it. This draft does not have much depth, right? They got big, like the top heavy draft. Last year draft was depth, right? So where do they go? And Moliak, but Moliak makes no sense, right? Surely. Before this, they trade for Mark Williams. Good trade. Love it. Love it. Right? Fantastic. Need a center? Let's go out and get one. Right? Because I don't know who was their center before, but it was not a good position. It was Nick Richards, right? You trade for Nick Richards. So Mark Williams, Nick Richards is your backup. Cool. Love it. Love that center room, right? Like, love. I love what I'm looking at, right? You know? Like, okay, cool. This is the team. This is the depth chart, and this is how we're going to move through. Right? No. This is not how we're doing it, actually. Oh, and they got Noah Ishiwadara, who was pretty good last year. Like, he was nothing to scoff at. As a third center. Like, he genuinely was a good third center. Right? So, what is the move here from now? They take that 10th pick. Oh, and they have Bobo. So, again, no need. And they've got Jalen Green, too. So, like, you can build around him. Some shooters. Right? Or some defense. Right? I mean, Cedric Coward, I didn't know he was high up. I'd never heard of this brother, but good defender. Will Riley... Drake Powell, trade back maybe. But you go, and again, redundancy. Come on, Moliak. Where's he going to play now? Right? And if I'm the Chicago Bulls, I'm mad. Because you're looking at it and you're like, Moliak is falling. Trailblazers don't need him. Right? Suns don't need him. They just... traded for Mark Williams. So you're looking at it and you're like, holy, okay? Mario goes to the Suns. Where is he going to play? What is the move? Because they just brought back Nick Richards too. So where is he going to play? This is not a guy you sit. He's got defensive tools now that can play today. And you draft him. It makes no sense. Makes no sense. Because Mark Williams can't move to the 4. Nick Richards can't move to the 4. This is so, I mean, it is dumb. Dumb on dumb on dumb. I'm not even all the, I'm just at 10. Right? And it's just stupid. So, why? Why do we have 4 NBA centers? Are you going to move off Ozzo? You going to move off Nick Richards? Nick Richards probably could start. And if I'm going to call up anyone, I'm calling up the Lakers. At that point, Moliak's not going to play. Unless you're going to have him the backup. But I just, it makes no sense. And this is a poverty franchise that fumbled Chris Paul, fumbled KD, fumbled Bradley Beal, and it's just made bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. Okay? James Jones has to go. There's no two ways about it. He's been terrible for this franchise, right? But to 11, Trailblazers trade their pick to the Grizzlies, and they go Cedric Coward. I don't hate it, right? Because you had a wing spot open up. You don't know about Vince Williams or G.G. Jackson. You just add another guy into that position. They're gonna just battle it out, duke it out. He's a good defender, hustle guy, good shooter. Works well. Love the move. Don't really hate it, right? Don't really hate it. For the Bulls, they go. I'm just gonna call him Noah. Right? They go Noah. Again, don't hate it. Patrick Williams does not look good. You're gonna move off Patrick Williams. You got Mastis, who looks fantastic. Looks like a future star in this league. So, I mean, I don't hate that pick. I actually love the pick. You go out and you get another wing/forward and just add some talent there, right? Then we get to pick 13. And this is where I'm going to, just kind of rant I'm going to put 5 minutes on the Pelicans. They trade up from 23 to 13. Cool. They give up an unprotected first-round pick, which is very highly, and I'm a Hawks fan, love this deal. And we got our guy out of it. Guy I've been beating on the table, we better bring in. They go out and give up an unprotected 2020, their unprotected 2026 first. And there's a high chance that that's a top 5 pick. And they just gave it up for De'Aaron Queen. And where's De'Aaron Queen gonna play? Missy looks like a good center, defensive center that can help back up or kind of guard Zion, because Zion's probably not going to play a lot of defense, so he's going to be a bit of a liability, right? So you get him now, and so you got your front court of the future, and you go out and draft De'Aaron Queen, and De'Aaron Queen's a hell of a center. Dog, good offensive weapon. I don't know how he's going to play defensively, but I know he's going to produce offensively. Probably more of a 4. So is he the franchise's future at power forward? Is he their backup for the Zion issue? Is Zion on his way out? If not, what are we doing? What is Joe Dumars doing? He's had one offseason. Oh, okay, and we're going to talk about this. So now you've got 2 big starting centers. They signed Kevon Looney. What? Excuse me? What? Why? First off, why did the Warriors let him walk? But why did they go out and bring him in? There's no point. He's not going to play. It's just it's so stupid. I just cannot stand. Like, this is the most puzzling offseason where I'm looking at him like, what the hell are we doing here? What is going on? What is happening? Like, what are we physically doing with this? You could have gone out and gotten Walter Clayton. At 23, Asa Newell was there. You could have gone out and gotten a Jace Richardson. Another guard, but, a Danny Wolf. A Lee McNeely. Or traded that pick for a veteran. Some bench scoring. Right? It's just, ugh. But I digress. Now, the Spurs are back up at 14. Right? And again, we're talking about it. They don't really have a power forward where you're looking at a power forward of the future. They go out and they draft Carter Bryant. And he's a forward. And now you're looking at, maybe we've got our 4 of the future. And how tall is he? How tall is Carter? It's not going to tell me. He's a high ceiling guy. No duh. How tall is he? Okay, NBC Sports is failing me right now. He's a small forward, probably can play the 4, right? Okay. So you've now got your potential power forward of the future. Again, love this pick for the Spurs. The Spurs have done fantastic this year. I'm just going to go ahead and say they brought in Luke Cornett, 4-year deal. Luke Cornett's a hell of a backup center. Love the move. Love it. Love it. Because Charles Bassey's now your 3rd center. I mean, and I don't hate that. Charles Bassey's a great backup center. So you go out and you do that. then to the Thunder, and they traded away Dylan Jones to the Wizards, brought in Colby Jones, waived Colby Jones for this pick. They go out and bring out Thomas Sorber, who is probably the replacement of Isaiah Hartenstein, because they probably will go big lineups. And Jalen Williams re-signed on a 3-year deal. Well, he's more of a locker room guy. Jalen Williams is still no scrub. Love Jalen Williams. He's just undersized 5. Thomas Sorber's big, bit of a project, so he'll be able to develop, learn from Isaiah Hartenstein, learn from Chet Holmgren, learn how to play small from Jalen Williams. And I love that move. Again, they can now just start drafting guys for the future. Guys that are not going to play right away. You can be like, in 2 years, when so-and-so's contract's up and we don't want to pay him, yeah. You've been sitting learning for 2 years. Come on. Come on in. And they still got more picks. And it's so stupid. Now, to the Trailblazers, right? That at this point, now they have waived DeAndre Ayton at this point, but still, you still have Robin Williams, Donovan Clingan, who looks like a great center, probably very similar to Walker Kessler, but that's not an issue, and Duop Reith, who I'm a lover of Duop Reith, and you draft a unknown guy in Hanson Yang, a center, who is described to be the Nikola Jokic of China. Okay, but we already have our center of the future. Is he going to play the 4? Like, that, again, redundancy. You've got young guys battling for a spot. You're going to affect players' development by doing this. And we don't know. Hanson Yang could have been a complete whiff. You could have gone out and gotten Walter Clayton or, again, Jace Richardson, who I love, and you got a guard because they traded Anthony Simons to the Celtics. And we'll talk about that in a minute. We still got trades and free agency to go through. And this is going to be a long episode, right? It's just makes no sense, right? It's so stupid. You're hurting Donovan Clingan's development. Because Donovan Clingan could be an all-NBA talent, in my book, and you're hurting him by drafting another center. Again, another poverty franchise who can't do anything. Anything. Right. They gave up Damian Lillard, and we're going to talk about that situation in a minute. You give up Anthony Simons pretty much for not much. I think they maybe got a first-round pick out of it. But still, you waived DeAndre Ayton because of his contract. You still have Robin Williams. Probably could trade him to somebody who needs a center. But, I mean, there's an abundance of centers right now. And it's just stupid. And now to the Timberwolves. Again, another move I don't understand. Juan Beringer, center out of France. You got Naz Reid. Unless you're thinking about moving Rudy Gobert, don't know why you drafted him. Again, redundancy. And this isn't like, young guys maybe move in a few years. This is like, you've got cemented players, vets. No need to be moving off of them. The Wizards go again, Jazz are back up. You bring in Walter Clayton, a guard. You need more guard help because Isaiah Collier does not look like he has much offensive punch. Great playmaker. And Keontae George is very inefficient. So you bring in another guy. Now to the second pick of the Nets, Noah Traore from France. Same thing from Euro Drummond. Good in the paint, solid midi, terrible 3-point shot. Mid defender needs the ball in his hands. Okay, redundant. Like, you could have gotten Will Riley, a forward, Drake Powell, Asa Newell. But at this point, you should have just packaged it all up, and I would have gone in for Ace Bailey and just built around him. But they probably knew about the Michael Porter Jr. trade, and were like, we're going to wait. But Michael Porter Jr. can play the 4. Makes no sense, right? Then you go to the Miami Heat. They get a point guard. They need a point guard, really. They need one. Davion Mitchell looks like a great defensive presence off the bench. Tyler Hero's better at the 2 position. You get your future point guard, right? And I love it. I'm not going to say his name, but he's a guy from Illinois that has a bonkers name. Love the move. The Utah Jazz are back up again. They go it's now the Wizards again. So many trades happened. It was confusing. Will Riley. You get a 3. Again, you're now building a young core, multiple young pieces that can all vie for solid playing time. So you at least have to hit once on, right? Then the Nets, Drake Powell. Okay, so yeah, they drafted 3 guards, 1 forward, 1 wing, and 1 front court guy. Drake Powell's a project. I don't hate this pick. I like the value, but you're going to need work on. And I don't know. But now to the Hawks picks. And I love the Hawks. We're going to talk about, I think the Hawks won this offseason, right? They traded for Kristaps Porzingis, and that's a stretch 5, huge, great rebounder, solid defender. I mean, just fits the mold. Love the move. Nneka Okongwu, I think he's a Montrezl Harrell of this league. Great bench center. Brings a lot of energy. What do? You draft Asa Newell. Bring in Asa Newell. A backup center, probably the center of the future. You can play the 4 if Jalen Johnson goes down. Or you move KP to the 4 and you put Okongwu at the 5 and Asa Newell. Asa Newell's not fat enough to play the 5 right now. But he will develop. And I love it. Young guy, youth on the bench. I love the move. I've been banging on the table for us to get him. The Thunder traded their first-round pick to the Kings. The Kings drafted Noah Clifford. They just need youth. I mean, this roster's so bad. They just draft everywhere. Right? So bad. Clifford, though, forward, love the move. The Magic. They go Jace Richardson. And I don't understand this move. I think, signed another guard. And you already have Anthony Black and Jalen Suggs, but he's a defensive nuisance, can shoot. And I mean, this team's going to be a defensive problem. I mean, they're going to harass people day in and day out. Then you go to the Nets. They draft Ben Sharif. Same build as the other 2 guards they've got. Then you go to the Celtics, right? They don't really have a center right now. And I love this move. Hugo Gonzalez. Could probably be the center of their future. Fits it so well. I mean, he is a big. They let go of Luke Cornett so they can play Quinto more. They're kind of tanking right now. Anthony Simons is their starting point guard. Georges Niang is their starting 4. But Hugo's going to get a lot of run. And you're going to learn what this kid's made of and what he can do. And you may have hit on it and found your center of the future. Something that they haven't had in a long time. They've been running Al Horford, KP, who's very injury-prone and old, is Al Horford. Al Horford's old. KP's injury-prone. Robin Williams was injury-prone, but they had the upside of KP to justify it. I love the move. You go young. Now to the Hornets. And again, we're going to talk about their second-round pick in a second. Liam McNeely. Love the move. Love it. Power forward of the future. Love it. Fantastic. Clippers. They get a backup center. I don't understand the move, but I don't hate it. Right? They need size, especially in the West, where you have Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein, Alperen Şengün, and Victor Wembanyama. You need some bigs. So being too big deep, pause. You have 2 bigs that you can play. That sounds better. Great move. In the second round, Charlotte Hornet then gets Zion Williams. Shooter. And attack downhill. A physical guy. And then 34th pick, they get Ryan Kalkbrenner. Center of the future. So what they did is, in this draft, and I love it, at the 1 you have LaMelo Ball, 2 you have Brandon Miller, 3 you have, who was it they drafted? Concanoople, a sniper. Right? Or you move Brandon Miller to the 3. At 4, you have Liam McNeely. And at 5, Kalkbrenner, because you just traded Mark Williams, so Kalkbrenner's going to get a lot of run. You made moves. You've got a young core, a young player at every position they can develop. Kind of what the OKC Thunder did, and what the Spurs are doing. And you went out and you addressed every position. And I love Liam McNeely is going to do great things. Kalkbrenner is going to be a great defensive center. And Concanoople is at least going to be a sniper in this league, right? Moving down, Chaz Lanier. Malik Beasley's getting investigated, so we don't know what's going to happen with that. Tim Hardaway just signed with the Nuggets. And the Nuggets have done a great job redoing their team. right? And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But you bring in a shooter for the Pistons. They need shooting. Chaz Lanier, probably all he'll do is shoot. I mean, and I love it. Moving down, Tyrese Proctor at 49. They lost Ty Jerome to the Grizzlies, and they bring in another guard who I think probably could have been a first-round pick and can snipe and play make. So you got it, Ty Jerome's replacement. Love the move. I mean, I really love Tyrese Proctor. I think Tyrese Proctor is going to be a hell of a basketball player in this league. He's got the traits that I believe matter, and that's it. That's it for the NBA draft. It was a long one, longer than I probably wanted. Awkward draft.
You done?
Now for the trade portion of this all, right? Weird notification about weather cuts, but okay. And we're gonna go look at the trades first, right? So I talked about this. Load, please. The Blazers trading Anthony Simons in 2 seconds to the Celtics and getting Drew Holiday. I don't know where Drew Holiday is going to go. I don't know where. I don't understand getting Drew Holiday out of this. I get it's a salary dump. Love the moves the Celtics made. I think Celtics have done a great season, positioning themselves, even if they're bad this year, to be good long term. Because Anthony Simons is a good shooter and is a good guard, and he's young. He's still like 25. He's been in the league for what feels like 7 years. And Drew Holiday probably is going to get bought out and go somewhere on a cheap deal. But I love the move for the Celtics. Pelicans, we talked about the Jordan Poole trade. I think Jordan Poole's the starting point guard. I don't know what the Pelicans are going to do. I love it for the Wizards, CJ McCollum, Kelly Olynyk. You're kind of building a veteran core because you have Chris Middleton as well. This veteran group of guys that can kind of mentor and bring this team along, kind of will them to be better, to show winning to these young guys instead of having these young guys win on their own. Kind of what Chris Paul did for the Thunder. And then next up, I mean, the amazing Hawks trade. The Hawks offload the 22nd pick, Terrence Mann, who I mean, he cost a lot, and Georges Niang. I mean, that's like $20 million right there because both of those players are getting overpaid. And you bring Kristaps Porzingis in a second-round pick. Hey, Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, if Kristaps Porzingis shows what he did in 2024, it's fantastic. I mean, you got an all-star center, and it's gonna work out so well. And we're gonna talk about this at the free agency part, but man, yeah, I love it. Just loved it. Now the Hornets, they got Liam McNeely out of the Mark Williams deal and a 2029 first-round pick. The Suns are probably gonna suck then, so great move. Mark Williams somehow got traded to the Grizzlies. We're just not gonna. That makes no sense. A lot of draft trades that I'm really not going to talk about. Okay, so now free agency just started. This trade that will start to June 28th, and we're going to start a moves here, right? The Bulls traded Lonzo Ball to the Cavaliers for Isaac Okoro. Love the move for the Cavs. You get a sniper and a facilitator off the bench, and Lonzo Ball kind of can help replace Ty Jerome as well as Tyrese Proctor. And if Darius Garland goes down again, you're not really in trouble. You've got guard depth now. Lonzo Ball is a really good defender. They're putting good defensive players on this team with DeAndre Hunter and them. And you bring in Lonzo Ball, who is still recovering, having his first full healthy offseason. I love the move. Isaac Okoro felt redundant, kind of fell out of the team with DeAndre Hunter and some of the other guys they brought in. There's someone else that's on the wing that is really good for them. I'm drawing a blank. I'm not really in the NBA mindset, kind of moving towards the NFL. But for the Bulls, you got really nothing. I don't think you could have gotten a first for Lonzo. Isaac Okoro is not bad. Again, wing redundancy, but they're probably this is a team that's going to suck. I'm surprised Vucevic hasn't been moved. The Warriors probably are going to make a move for Vucevic or Claxton. And we'll kind of talk about this. Is just a review episode. But I think the Bulls should have got more. Now, the Hornets. I actually love this move. They moved off Yusuf Nurkic, and they brought in Colin Sexton. Colin Sexton probably will be their sixth man and may win sixth man of the year. This is a team that's positioned to make some noise. They maybe are a playing team, but is good. Right? Brandon Miller and LaMelo going to be dogs together. Concanoopel, sniping. Probably Rookie of the Year candidate. Liam McNeely's going to develop, but they still have Bridges. Center, I mean, they'll probably make a move. I think Mason Plumlee's going back. So you've got, and he's a good center. I'm high on Mason Plumlee. And then Colin Sexton off the bench. I believe Colin Sexton has to come off the bench. Oh, and they also have Trey Mann. So Trey Mann comes in scoring. Just weapon after weapon after weapon after weapon. You've built in depth now, which is something that killed you last year was the lack of depth, and you built some in. I love the moves, and they didn't give up much. Now, Michael Porter Jr. trade. The Nets got a first-round pick involved too, which I think it's crazy that Cam Johnson has that much more value over MPJ. If the screen just paused, I'm checking the battery life. But I love the move for the Nuggets. And I love it all the way around. You got a first-round pick as the Nets. And you get a guy that could probably blossom into a superstar. He's your number one. So the joke was made, I can't wait to watch Cam Johnson and Michael Porter Jr. go for 50 points combined and 2 assists. And it probably will happen because nobody's sharing the rock on that team outside of the 3 point guards they just drafted. But Cam Johnson, you're surrounding yourself, the Nuggets, and they just brought in Bruce Brown. Guy was a great connector, glue guy for when they won the championship. But Cam Johnson now can play the 3 or the 4 and snipe. I mean, they can kick the ball out, and he can snipe the fire out of it from 3. I love the move. That really great move, and they've made some good moves. The Hawks, they brought in Nickel Walker, Alexander Walker. Shooter and a damn good defender. And now you're looking at this team. It's one of the better defensive teams in the league. They've also signed Luke Kennard, a sniper, one of the best three-point shooters in the league right now, to surround him around Trae Young. You've got a really good shooting three-point center. Zachary Richardson is a sniper as well. Jalen Johnson's working on his shot, but he'll probably be better. Dyson Daniels is working on his shot, but you've got Luke Kennard now and Alexander Walker. You've got shooting, and Dyson Daniels a hell of a defender. Zachary Richardson, nothing to scoff at defensively. Jalen Johnson is a wonderful defender. Luke Kennard's all right. Asen Newell's big. Nyeka Okongwu's a dog. BT Gritchick, a dog defensively. You're building a really good defensive roster to harass a team like the Pacers when fully healthy. Which, honestly, I'm going to say this hot take. TJ McConnell deserves a raise. I know he's making $10 million. Brother deserves 15. Brother deserves 15. And I don't think the Pacers actually scratch that. We're going to talk about it in a second. The state of the Pacers. But I love the move for the Hawks. I think the Hawks are probably third or fourth best team in the East right now. They are now equipped to handle the Magic. And they're more than equipped to handle the Knicks. They've been harassing the Knicks for years. And the Knicks went in and brought in Yabusele. And I think there's talks with Jordan Clarkson, and there's someone else. We'll look at that in a second because we're going to go through the free agency as well, but I want to talk about the trades. And the Hawks only gave up. I mean, they paid Nickel a lot of money. And, I mean, he's not going to be the most efficient shooter, but I just need him to knock down threes. I just need him to hit threes. And it's depth, more depth. Like, this is a deep team that got tested last year. And I want to look at the Hawks roster. Because the end of last year, I'm looking at this and I'm like, this isn't a bad team. This isn't a bad team. Right? Muhammad Gaye, not a bad 4. Garrison Matthews can shoot. Kobe Buffkin's not bad. You still have Larry Nance, but I think he's a free agent. Karis LeVert's walking. Karis LeVert's going to the Pistons. Love that move. Another bench scorer. Someone that I think can kind of help mentor Jared Ivey. I think a young Karis LeVert was like Jared Ivey. And so you can kind of, do that. But I love the moves. I mean, fantastic. Fantastic. I mean, Keaton Wallace is nothing to scoff at as a backup. They're not bringing back Barlow. I don't think they're bringing back Garrison Matthews. Kobe Buffkin is the backup point guard now. And I love the way the team is working. They'll probably make some more moves. I mean, if they could go after and get Drew Holiday as a backup point guard defensively, this is a problem. But I think he's honestly going to go back to the Bucks with some moves that are going to happen that we talked about in a minute. This morning, broke out. The Nuggets are trading Dario Saric for Jonas Valanciunas. You get a backup big. And that's always been the problem. They have not had a backup five that can help run the offense. And they brought in Jonas Valanciunas, who probably should be a starting center in this league. And I honestly love that move. Dario Saric to the Kings probably is going to get cut, and he's probably either going to go play in Europe or retire from the NBA or retire from basketball. But the Nuggets, I mean, making big moves. Bruce Brown, Cam Johnson, Jonas Valanciunas, you are addressing the positions that you were suffering at, and you fixed the bench with Bruce Brown and Jonas Valanciunas. You have Watson, you have Strother, you have Christian Braun. I mean, and it just looks good. It looks good. I honestly, cherry on top would be for them to bring back Russell Westbrook. I mean, that would be best offseason, probably outside the Hawks. But the Hawks got to make a move for a backup point guard. I think they need a backup point guard severely. I don't trust Kobe Buffkin. If it was up to me, I think they should trade Kobe Buffkin for Drew Holiday. But again, I think he might get bought out or traded to the Bucks. And we're going to talk about that in a minute with all the tomfoolery that the Bucks are committing. Right? But we're going to scroll down. We're going to look at this, right? Because a lot of moves were made. Because free agency started yesterday. Right? Batum, staying with the Clippers. I think he's kind of overpaid at $6 million. Jordan Clarkson got bought out. There's talks of him going to the Knicks, but they just signed some guys that I don't know if they'll have the money to. And the main guy's like missing me, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The Mavericks signed D'Angelo Russell, and I'm not big on D'Angelo Russell like I used to be a year ago, but I think that's a good bridge player who, if and when Kyrie comes back, really good off the bench. The Mavericks are set up for the future with Anthony Davis, Cooper Flagg, and Kyrie. You've got, I mean, who else? Max Christie as your shooting guard is going to be fantastic. You've got centers out the wazoo, and Daniel Gafford, who they extended, Derek Lively, who looks fantastic. I just honestly love the moves. Jaden Hardy looks great. I honestly just love it. They extended it. It should not happen because that GM is an absolute dumbass and got fleeced for Luka. I mean, Desmond Bain brought more home than Luka Doncic, and he got lucky, and now he's going to luck into D'Angelo Russell. Makes me angry, right? Beat the table. The Knicks are talking about bringing Russell Westbrook. I don't think Russell Westbrook goes to a team like that. I think he had enough after L.A. Jaren Jackson got a bag. So did Santi Aldama. I saw something like he deserves the money, but Santi Aldama deserves to be somewhere else where he can start and be a star. I think he's a star. I don't think he's a superstar, but I think he's a guy who can give you 18 to 22 points a game, about 10 rebounds, and just snipe. But now he's going to be a bit of a pricey role player, right? Dorian Finney-Smith goes to Houston. This is the first big one. I love the move based on the player, right? You bring in defense and shooting, and they could not shoot the ball at all when they played the Warriors. So you bring in some shooting and some great defense. Okay? Wing depth. It's a guy who can go harass. You put one-on-one with SGA, De'Aaron Fox, Steph Curry, Luka. You're just looking at some teams. Kyrie, D'Lo, Cooper Flagg. Just looking at teams who are going to be problems. Jamal Murray, James Harden. You're looking at some top guys that you're going to have to put on. He's going to be a guy that's coming off the bench, and it's so stupid that he's going to be coming off the bench. Not in a bad way. It's just insane. The depth the Rockets have. I think the Rockets are positioned are going to be this year's Thunder. I don't think they're going to have the outcome because I think the West is so much better than it is. This year, the West is going to be so much better than it just was because of the development from guys, the moves teams are making, the way the Nuggets look. I think the Warriors are going to be better, especially if they get the center of the future, or Vucevic, who I think they're going to get, or Claxton. But they're going to be a top team, and they're going to be a team. They've got playoff experience now. They can go run after people. I thought it was weird when they had Malyak for a second, but then I was like, wait, that's the Suns pick. I think they still would have done good with Malyak. They re-signed Steven Adams. They brought back Clint Capella, which I hated at first, but I watched something about it. You can now play multiple centers. You can go that big lineup, play those guys 30 minutes, and then still bring up Clint Capella. Or if Steven Adams is having some injury problems, you can bring back Clint Capella, because they did not bring back Jock Liddell. But it's a shame for Clint Capella, because I think he can still start or play big minutes, that he's going to be a third center. Because I think Steven Adams is just better than Clint Capella right now. Clint Capella is not defensively the same player he was 2 years ago at all. I think he's a lot worse than what he was a few years ago. But the Rockets are just building a roster, and they're building a roster to harass the Thunder and really deal with Wembanyama, who I think the Spurs are going to be last year's Rockets. Again, and I talked about this. There's a timeline, right? And we're going to put the Magic in that. It went, Thunder were the most ready team. Then behind them were like he was following they were following year by year the same steps, right? 1 year the Thunder were leading. The Thunder were knocking down a door, and a door behind was the Thunder, and then the Thunder knocked down another door, and the Rockets go hit that door that they just hit, and then behind them was the Magic at the door that the Rockets were just at, and then behind them was the Spurs, and they're kind of just trucking along, and you're seeing these rebuilds happen. And the Thunder just won the championship. And the Rockets, again, were like how the Thunder were the year before. A very unexperienced team that dealt with some issues in the playoffs, and they got eliminated. And then they addressed it. Last year, the Thunder went out, and they brought in Alex Caruso. This year, the Rockets got out Kevin Durant, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Clint Capella. And, I mean, they traded some guys away. They cleared up some clog. They got rid of Jalen Green, who I think should have been probably as a sixth man the longer he gets into his career. So you do that. And then, again, the Spurs look good. I think the Spurs are going to do what the Rockets did last year, make it in the first round and get eliminated. And that's fine. The Spurs just need to make it. And the Spurs may make it far because Wemby is such a dog if he's healthy. And they've got so much talent, but they're young. And the Magic are probably going to have a decent run. I think the Magic kind of splintered off now because they're in the East, and the East is so wide open, they could probably make a deeper run. I just love the move these teams are making. The only issue with the Dorian Finney-Smith move is it's a 4-year, $53 million deal. And I think he's 32. Right? I think he's 32. So he'd be 36 by the end of... Yeah, he's 32. He's going to be 36 by the end of that deal. And he's going to be making a hunk of change. He's kind of over... And it's kind of overpaid. He's going to be making over $10 million a year. He's overpaid. I think you overpaid for Dorian Finney-Smith, who was a hot commodity, kind of like Nickeil Walker-Alexander. The only thing Nickeil Walker-Alexander has is age. He's 26. So, it's not going to hurt you. But he's going to be 36, making $10 million, and I don't think he'll be... I don't think he's going to be a P.J. Tucker who's going to play into his late 30s and still be a dog. I just don't. But I think for the now, while you have James Harden, it's a great move. And I think you had to make that move. I just think in the back end, kind of like what we're seeing with the Padres with Alexander Bogaerts. It just doesn't look good. It's just not good. But I think in the now, it's fantastic. The Lakers signed Jake LaRuvia. They needed a center, and they went out and got a terrible one. They still haven't addressed the center. Maybe by the time our next episode with Talon comes out, they go out and get a center. Let me make sure they haven't gone out and brought in anybody. The Cavs signed Larry Nance Jr. Brought in another big. Love it. Love the move. And the Nuggets signed. Also, the Nuggets signed Tim Hardaway. So they're building out this big old bench. Like this backup unit that is going to be big. And I know we're talking about the Lakers, and we'll talk about them in a second. I know the Nuggets struggled, and they've gone all in. You brought up a backup big. You brought up a backup wing who could start. You brought up another sniper. And you got your starting forward and Cam Johnson, who's a sniper in his own right. moving forward. I just love it. Unless you want to put one of those guys at the 3 and Cam Johnson comes off the bench. But I think Cam Johnson's the starter no matter what. I just love the moves. I love them. I think the Nuggets have done a fantastic job. Trey Jones gets re-signed to the Bulls. Love the moves. Wish he was at somewhere else. They could make a bigger impact. Ty Jerome went to Memphis. I like it because he's if John Morant does John Morant things and gets hurt or gets in trouble, you still got an offensive scoring threat. And Scottie Pippen can kind of move to the 2 where he can shoot and be a defensive pest, which we saw how good Scottie Pippen Jr. is defensively. And probably should be, it's going to be a great defensive player in this league if he started probably all defense. So he does not have to play on the ball offensively. He can play more off the ball and be more of a harasser defensively. I honestly love that move. Love it. Fantastic. I want them to move forward with it. Bruce Brown, Milwaukee brought back Michael Porter Jr. Luke Cornett to the Spurs. Fantastic move. Again, I talked about it already. Love it. He's a big. If Wembanyama needs to go down for a bit, you just throw in Luke Cornett, and you still got a big old big. And they still got the offensive guys from the wings to the guards to carry the slack. And it's a deep team. Brook Lopez. Again, I don't really understand this deal. It's going to the Clippers after they just drafted a center. Unless Zubac is on his way out. But they signed Brook Lopez to a 2-year, $18 million deal, which at this point you're looking at like, wow, the Bucks don't have a center. The Bucks don't look good. They traded A.J. Johnson away, which I thought was dumb because he looks fantastic at the Wizards. And I knew this guy was going to be a bucket. But he's athletic. He's a dog. Oh, it would have been great to pair him. Such an athlete, just uber athlete. It just ekes out athleticism. Pair him with Giannis. And just, the pressure they could have done. And we're going to talk about them in a second. Right? Again, I think and we'll talk about this next week. I think the Hawks have won it. Big news, just breaking. Duncan Robinson has agreed to a 3-year, $48 million deal with the Detroit Pistons. Love it. I think it's a great deal. I think the Pistons have done a great job addressing shooting. They brought in Karis LeVert. They've brought in, drafted Chaz Lanier, which, it's a hope and a prayer that he pans out to be a dog. But he definitely has a chance. And then you bring in Duncan Robinson, who's a sniper. Malik Beasley's replacement, because he's getting investigated for betting. You now have his replacement, who might be a better shooter. He's a pure shooter in and out. And I love it. It's fantastic, right? Just fantastic. Yeah, Mason Plumlee returns to the Hornets, so you've got your starting center. I just want to go. I just stay on the Pistons. The Pistons are going to be a problem next year. They are defensively strong, and on the bench, they've got shooting. Something they don't have on the starting lineup, but they can just turn to the bench and start sniping. They did lose Dennis Schroeder, but they brought in Karis LeVert, who had a great second half with the Hawks, showing what he can be. Probably 6th man of the year. And I just love the move. I think the Pistons are going to be a problem. Again, wide open. I think the Pistons could probably be 5th in the East, because I don't think the Celtics are going to be a problem. Pacers are not going to be after all that's happened. So you cleared out those two teams. It's going to be the Knicks, Hawks, Magic, and Pistons. Not in that order, but those are going to be the top teams battling it out in the East. I might be forgetting somebody, but I honestly think those are the teams. Yeah, Jordan Clarkson's signing to the Knicks. They've got shooting now. And Yabusele signed with the Knicks. You've got a backup big that can score. And they got someone else. Trent Wofford, I think is very underrated, is now with the 76ers, backup big, backup forward. And I love that move. Love it. I think it's fantastic. He's a good scorer. Kind of can handle the ball more than usual big skin. Snipe. Oh, he can shoot. I loved him when he was with the Trailblazers. I don't think the Nets used him enough. Gary Trent goes back to the Bucks. Dennis Schroeder went to and it may end up being a sign and trade, but he went to the Kings on a 3-year deal. And I just think It may be too much for him, for Dennis Schroeder, but I love it in the sense of, I don't like it. I don't like it. It makes no sense. This team makes no sense. You have Malik Monk, you have Devon Carter, you have Zach LaVine, you have DeMar DeRozan. Just bring in Dennis Schroeder. It just, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're building. As the Knicks, what are you building? Or not Knicks, Kings. What are you building? What is the direction? What is the vision that you have? Because you're putting a lot of role players together. What is the vision that you have moving forward? Because I don't see it. And I don't understand what's going on at all. Right? SGA got his bag. He's going to make $70 million a year. He's the highest paid player in the league, in all sports. And deservedly so. But now to what all has been breaking out. And yeah, I'm back to where I am. Yabby Shelley goes to the Knicks. Maybe someone else didn't. Maybe someone else didn't decide to the Knicks. Maybe I'm just being stupid. But the big one of today, Tuesday, July 1st, I think, is Miles Turner going to the Bucks. And initially, I love this move. Right? Fantastic. Stretch big. Pretty much a younger version of Brook Lopez. Maybe better. But you look at the Pacers, who said they weren't going the luxury tax, and they offered him only $60 million total. They got outbetted by $47 million, almost double. And you look at that and you're like, what are we doing, Pacers? What are we doing? And we're going to talk about the Knicks or the Bucks in just a second. Okay, we're going over. This is going to be a super long episode. You're looking at this and you're like, what are we doing, Pacers? You don't have a point guard. TJ McConnell's still going to run that unit, and I think they're still going to be good point guard wise. But now you don't have a center. Thomas Bryant. Is he your center? James Wiseman? Isaiah Jackson? Isaiah Jackson is a solid center, but I don't think you're not making it back to the finals. You're not going to have Tyrese Halliburton for all of next year at all, because you're not going to bring him back in the postseason, and he's not going to be the same guy that he was last year. So again, what are we doing? You have a chance. There's a window. I know everybody's hurt. Unless you go out and get a DeAndre Ayton for cheap. But I think, honestly, Ayton's going to the Lakers. Because they need a center, and Ayton fits what they need. A pick-and-roll big who's solid defensively. But what are we doing? And the blueprint was there. You have your guys. Just bring them all back. Draft some dudes. And you don't do that. Maybe Jarris Walker is your 5 in the future, right? Maybe. Or you play Pascal Siakam at the 5. Right? And you just, I think the Pacers have made a terrible offseason, terrible choices, letting Miles Turner go. I mean, it's huge. You weren't going to, I'd have offered him anything he wanted. I'd have matched every deal. But to the Bucks' point of this, what happens then, because you're like, okay, cool. They then cut Damian Lillard for God knows what reason. They stretch waive his deal. Right? And then Giannis is unhappy. Of course, obviously. Right? Like, what the hell are we doing here? Because now you don't have the point guard of the future in A.J. Johnson, who would have fit perfectly in this role. You still have Kuzma, I think. I don't know if he's a free agent. I hope he is, because the Bucks don't need him. And honestly, all this is pointing to is Giannis leaving Milwaukee. Unless they go out and make a move. Listen, the two guys they got to go after is either Drew Holiday, either from the buyout market or trade, or sign Russell Westbrook. Which Russell Westbrook, again, bad shooting, but so much pressure at the rim. Drew Holiday, it's worked before. They won a title with Drew Holiday. Still not the superstar they want, but you're building a collective unit. Gary Trent came on in the second half of last year. But if they don't make a move in the next week at the point guard position, I honestly think Giannis has to be traded. And I think teams knew this was going to happen. I think this is why we're seeing some teams wait, which would be huge if he asked out. And then they signed Gary Harris, right? Whoop-de-freaking do. I can't. Me and Talon were texting about this. I can't wait to talk to him about it on the podcast Sunday. I mean, like, what the hell? Milwaukee... I'm not even scared of Milwaukee. The front court's going to be a problem, but okay. I'm just going to deal with the front court. Who's going to beat me at the wing position or the back court, right? Like, no one. I'm not scared of anybody. And it's just, he's not pleased about dumping Dame. As he should. Because apparently the Bucks did not have the cap space to sign Miles Turner. Well, then why did we sign Miles Turner? You could have traded for a Jonas Valanciunas. Or traded for the early second round pick, drafted Ryan Kalkbrenner. Made a trade for something, but they don't have the assets. Because they traded for Damian Lillard. And they traded for Kuzma. And they've made all these trades that have missed. Right? So surely they double back to Drew Holiday. Like, as the Milwaukee Bucks, you don't make that move with Miles Turner and cutting Damian Lillard without having another move in mind. Right? Like, I can't be crazy for this. For thinking this. Like, surely you don't make that move and be like, yep, we're done. We're not going to address point guard position. Like, Eric Bledsoe was good. But you let him go. Like, point guard's been a revolving door. It's Eric Bledsoe for like 8 years. Then you bring in Drew Holiday. And then, like, the team's just scuttling out, right? It's getting old. So you get Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard pops his Achilles, fighting for that team. Cut him. For Miles Turner? I'd take a year out of Damian Lillard for 4 years of Miles Turner. No offense to Miles Turner, but he played terrible in the finals. Brother could not sell his first son for a bucket. Like, what are we doing? What is happening? It's just so, like, and I'm seeing this Damian Lillard to the Heat. Maybe. But again, it has to be a backloaded deal. Right? And then the Bucks traded Pat Connaughton for guard Wajay Mitchell, which I have a feeling they're going to cut him because there was talks of him at one point going to Europe for whatever reason. I think he's a solid guard. But, you know what I mean? Like, what Pat, like, we're just clearing out guys. Why not trade Pat Connaughton then to clear out his money? But I'm reading this now. Damian Lillard's elated to leave Milwaukee, and I would be too, because the coaching staff's been a disaster, an absolute disaster. And it will be bad. The Raptor, I think he'll get his bag. I mean, Damian Lillard at least will be a good shooter. Raptors extended Jakob Poeltl. Al Horford's still got a market. There's talks of him either going to the Lakers or the Warriors. If I'm the Warriors, I'm staying away to it. Josh Minott, which I was surprised, he made some starts for the Timberwolves, and they loved him. Got cut by them. Is now joining the Celtics, building some wing depth. DeAndre Ayton or Al Horford surely end up at the Lakers. And then the loser of those two goes to the Warriors. And I think Vucevic has a say in this. But, man, I can't wait to see this next few days. Because this episode will be out either Tuesday night or Monday or Wednesday morning. I can't wait to see what happens when me and Talon film. Because what the hell is happening in the NBA right now? But, too long of an episode. Sorry. But that's all for today's episode. Thank you all for watching. See you all next time.